Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss how to frame questions. There are three types of questions: WH questions, yes no questions, and question tags. Right? Actually, we don't be afraid of the answers. Right? Be afraid of not asking the questions. We have the ability to answer the questions, but we hesitate to ask questions actually. Now we are going to discuss yes no questions. Right? It's introverting the subject and the verb. Yes no question is framed by adding helping verb before the subject. So you just take the first auxiliary in front of the subject for framing yes no questions. Right? So questions with auxiliary verbs. So 99% of the time we need to use something called an auxiliary verb, that is a helping verb to make a question in English. Right? I am happy. Right? To frame this as a question, just bring the auxiliary verb am in front of the subject I. So the question is, am I happy? Right. For example, modal verbs, they can speak Spanish very well. The question for this sentence is, can they speak Spanish very well? Just bring the auxiliary verb can in front of the subject they to frame yes no questions. So future auxiliary verbs. I will see you later. Right. So just bring the auxiliary verb will in front of the subject to frame a question. Will I see you later? Right. The present future auxiliary. He hasn't phoned us. The question is, hasn't he phoned us? So this is a question. Then question in present simple, right? Usually the auxiliary verbs do and does are used in framing questions in present simple. If the subject is a third person singular, we usually add a yes with the base verb, right? So that's why the auxiliary verb will become does. Usually the auxiliary verb will be do for present simple. If the subject is third person singular, we add yes with the do. So it becomes does. So my pen has black ink. The sentence will be, does my pen have black ink? And he teaches ELS. Does he teach ESL? Maria types quickly. So the question for this sentence is, does Maria type quickly? Right. So just split the main verb types in as does plus type. Just bring the auxiliary verb does in front of the subject, so to frame questions. Questions in past tense. Use the auxiliary did for all the pronouns. No. Change the verb back to the base form. For example, she talked too much. The question here is, did she talk too much? I wrote my name on the test. Did I write my name on the test? The student spoke on the phone. Did the students speak on the phone? So you have to split the main verb, right, and make the main verb be there, and just take the auxiliary verb in front of the subject to frame yes no question. Now we are going to discuss how to frame WH questions. There are WH words which are familiar to you already. Who is used for person, what for things, where for place, why for reason, when for time, how for process, and which for choice. Sentence with auxiliary verbs. We must invert the subject and helping verb from the WH word. Samay is going to Florida. here Same is subject, is going, is helping verb, and going is main verb. Florida is where. If you rise if you just frame a WH question with the question word where, the question will be, where is Sami going? Sentences without auxiliary verbs. If a sentence doesn't have an auxiliary verb, likewise in yes no question, you should bring the auxiliary verb, do form verbs in the main verb, and you have to split it and write. If it is in the present form, just break it as do plus the base verb or does plus a base verb. If the tense is in past tense, simple past tense, so break the verb did plus base verb. Look at the example. The man broke the window. Here the man broke. It is simple past tense. So how will you break it? So just break the verb as did plus break. So bring the did in front of the subject. So the question is, what did the man break? Questions about the subject. If you just frame the questions for the subject, just remove the subject and use who. It is easy to frame. For example, she is feeling sick. You can simply remove she and replace it with the question word who. Who is feeling sick, right? So he is learning French. So remove the he and just replace it with who. Who is learning French, to frame a question to the subject. It is easy. Okay, with this is end of the video, right? Hope you have this is information is very useful for you to learn yes no questions and WH questions, right? See you in the next video. Thank you all.